We're going to be taking a look at the Kan Sicilian today. It is a systems-based Sicilian opening. It's easy, it's fun, it's nice, it's good. That's all the positive words I can think of. We're going to be looking at a game that shows that as an example today. This game was played by Sunil Mokal Prathamesh versus Swaminathan Sumya. I definitely botched those. It's played in 2010. It's an IM versus an FM. And it's a fun game to look at. It's a good game. So what is the Kan Sicilian? It's when you go c5, e6. They're playing the open. We're not looking at an Alpine, a Grand Prix. Just mainline stuff today. You always take that pawn on d4, a6, boom, screenshot, Kan Sicilian. What fascinates me about it is how easy it is to play this. And if you just put this pawn back on e7 and this pawn on d6, and you get the Najdorf, most complex. So just the change of a pawn brings it from the most complex sharp opening to a systems-based easy opening to play. One pawn differential. It's so wild to me, chess is. So we got knight to c3. Now, good things to note are the main line is bishop to d3. If you want to induce them to push their pawn, you should go knight f6 after bishop to d3 because this is a mistake. Why is this a mistake? This is a mistake because of queen a5, forking both the pawn and the king. It's a winning position pretty early on, move 5 to be exact. So why can't you go knight f6 if they go knight c3? Well, they can push their pawn because there's no check, right? It blocks the check. So that's why he plays queen c7 to play knight f6. This queen on c7, it's multi-purpose. It happens in many Sicilians. One thing it does is stop the pawn. Also, it stops their bishop from coming to f4, aims at the king if it castles kingside. Sometimes it aims at this knight on c3. And very importantly, it gives you the b7 square if they try to extend with e5 on the diagonal. That's just about everything I could think of. So we get bishop to d3, now knight to f6. And it's very important to play knight to f6 right now, especially if you choose to play this bishop to c5 line, which is the line I would pitch. The reason it's a book move, but it's not a great book move. And the reason is because after queen to g4, you see that is why the knight is on f6, queen to g4, aims at the pawn. It's kind of like when you get that in a French, when the bishop leaves f8, it's not the nicest. Right? You got to play king f8 now. It's not the nicest. So that is the point of knight f6 actually. Right? Pretty crazy. It's to stop the queen on g4. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So move order does matter a little bit, but still very easy to play. Bishop c5. Now there's two fun lines here. Well, there's two main lines here, I should say rather. Knight to b3 leads to very fun positions. You park a bishop on a7. People do forget about pieces like this. The fun thing about this line is if they go bishop to g5, you can allow them to snap off the knight, and that is very good. If they ever go h3, you own the g3 square with your queen because the f-pawn is pinned. And if they try to get out of the pin like so, it leads to very fun positions like this. For example, they can never take this knight because you are threatening mate. And even if, you could go queen d8 and mate them like this, there's a lot of ways to mate them, and it's fun stuff, fun line, but we're not looking at that today. But I could talk about this for days. I could talk about chess for days. You guys know me. You don't know me, but I could talk about chess. Bishop to c5, bishop to e3. This is surprisingly considered an inaccuracy, but I actually think it's the better of the lines. And it's an inaccuracy according to the computer. It's all over the database, but it does set up a trap. Try to find why knight c6, for example, would be a mistake by black. Well, knight c6 would be a mistake by black because white can take the pawn, and it's not so good. It's not so good. You take the knight, they take your bishop, you can't castle. They have the bishop pair, not great, so don't do knight c6. It's a mistake. So instead we get pawn to d6. Now, pawn to d6 is great. It's kind of resembling a hedgehog structure now. It allows you to play e5 later on, provides some defense, opens up this square for the knight. Sometimes if this knight isn't here, you go knight c6, bring this knight back to d7, claim e5 with the f knight. Very flexible. I might start playing this again. I teach my students this. I stopped playing it because of the Maroczy bind, but there's actually fun lines against the Maroczy bind with it. Now, okay, queen to f3. Main move, queen to e2. Second main move, queen to f3. Now, usually when you get queen f3 in sharper Sicilians, you're taught to play the move b5 when your queen is on c7. Right? b5, e5, bishop b7. You see, that's the point. You guard your rook, you attack the queen, gain a tempo. Why is b5 a mistake here? b5 is a mistake because of d takes b5. A brilliancy. You see, you take this, they take. If take e5, there's no bishop b7 because the queen leaves c7. If they take with the pawn, look at this. e5, disgusting, aiming at the rook. Bishop to b7, knight takes b5. Complications that white wins here. And the reason it works is because of this. It's super gross. Super gross stuff. Look at that. Ugh, gross. So, that's why you don't go b5. So we get castles. Good move. Queen g3. Who do you guys like here? It's equal, so there's an argument to be made for both. I like black because I like getting attacked as black. I like attacking as white. I like getting attacked as black, kind of absorbing it, then retaliating and winning. Right? Humans overextend. Rook a to d1, pawn to b5. There's no pressure points on this diagonal, so this is a good thrust. We get a3, stopping b4. Sometimes b4 ends up winning you the e4 pawn in the early opening if they don't play main lines up to move 30 like these people do. Pawn to f4. Okay, a little bit of an inaccuracy, but this is what people do. They rush their attacks. And there's really nothing there. See, hedgehog structure, super safe. Super safe. What could I say? King to h1, prophylactic, stepping out of the way of the bishop. Black's like, 2 can play that game. King h8. Stepping out of the way of the pin. Nice move. Maybe so you can claim g8 with another piece. Queen h4. Okay. Rook f to e8. Connecting the rooks in the middle of the board. He's ready to push the central pawns. And he goes knight f8. Kind of like a Carol Khan motif. Right? They say knight on f8, no mate. They also say knight on f8 is great. They don't say that. I just thought of that on the fly. But knight to g6 will gain a tempo on this queen on h4. So he steps out of the way, prophylactically away again. But black's like, okay, I'm going to go knight g6 still. You can't really push a pawn. I mean, you could go f5, but then I'm going to jump my knight into e5, right? So he goes b4. I think b4 is a little bit of hope chess, actually. Yeah, I think b4. I think this was his point. I think he wanted bishop a7, something like knight d takes b5. So I guess we're going to call that a motif because it's happened twice now. Bishop takes, knight takes. This is roughly equal, but super easy to play for white. Black needs to be a little careful. So, after the move b4, black's like, okay, this looks good to me. I'm going to take. And what do you play now? You got to push one of the pawns in the center, right? And when you go d6, if you don't get d5 in and you go d6, then you got to play for e5. So that's just what he does, right? Take, take. Bishop has to move. Bishop should not go to b6. Why? Not going to tell you because it's going to happen in 2 moves. And then we'll discuss. So it goes bishop to c5. We get knight to f4, improving the knight, and bishop to b6. Why throw the game like this? I don't know. I don't know why he did this. Super simple blunder. Queen takes knight. You get 2 minor pieces for the rook. Maybe he thought he had some counterplay here. What would you play? There's a few good moves. I think rook to d7 or queen c8 are arguably the best. He goes queen to c8, guarding the bishop. Bishop takes. All right, is that a free bishop? No, because then you would actually lose the chess game. We know it's never too late to lose a chess game. We all know that. So he goes rook to g8, consolidating. Bishop comes back to d3. And after the move, knight takes e4. He just resigns. Premature? I don't think so, right? There's just a lot going on. Like a lot going on. For example, bishop takes, bishop takes. You're threatening queen takes h3 because of the pin. Another motif. If the king's on h1 with the light squared bishop, you can take on h3. Just like on king g1 with the bishop on a7, you could go queen g3. So a lot of good motifs were shown. 27 move game. I can make more videos on this if you guys took interest in it. Thank you as always for watching. Have a great day. Peace and boom.